Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Adrian. Today I'm going to be unboxing and taking a look at Mothership the Deluxe Box Set. Been playing a fair bit of Aliens, and over the last year or so I've played a fair chunk of Mothership, but only off the PDF, which is difficult. But I keep swinging, do I prefer Aliens, do I prefer Mothership? And fortunately, over the last couple of weeks, a deluxe box became available. One of my friends was actually looking to get rid of it, so I picked a copy up. And I've got a copy here, so I'm going to go through it as spoiler-free as possible because there are 4 adventures in here. It is amazingly broken down. You've basically got a Games Master's book, you've got a player's book, a monster manual, and a ship manual. 4 adventures, loads of standees, dice, and a Games Master screen. So I wasn't expecting most of what was in here. Say I bought, well, back the Kickstarter at the PDF, so I kind of knew what's within the books. So, but what I'll do is at the end of it, I'll also go through the PDFs as I do with this. Now, I think this is now going to be the launch of my sort of starter set review. So I've been looking at how I can do it. I did the Alien starter set, and I was pleased the way it came out. So I'm going to be able to use top-down camera, PDFs at the top. I say all of these will be spoil-free. So these aren't a full review of exactly what's in the adventures, but they will all be full reviews of what you're going to get in your box sets and starter sets and things. I've got 12, 13 starter sets to look at. So over the next few Saturdays, I'm going to be releasing these sort of starter set Saturdays because, you know, it makes sense to have that title because that's how my brain works. It's got to be on a Saturday. So, yeah, there's no links to where to purchase this because I don't know whether you can actually buy this. I think several places are still maybe selling it. They may have stock, I don't know. But let's get down to the top-down camera and have a look at just how stunning this box actually is. So this is all sort of raised as well, so it actually feels really nice. I was really surprised and impressed just how nice this actually is. But as you can see here, you know, it's the deluxe box set. It's got the player survival guide, warden's operation manager manual, shipbreaker's toolkit, unconfirmed contact report in here as well. And then 4 missions, which, well, they're actually more than missions because there's big adventures. As I've ran the bug hunt, which was absolutely great fun, and then I've played Mothership a few times. So let's just open the box and we can see what's in here. Initially, we're going to get this map, which you have to excuse where my camera goes, but this is 2-sided, so this is going to help you with space combat, sorting out range and things. Then on the back we have a map for a sort of space station, which is going to directly link into one of the adventures. So that's quite cool because we can actually, the players can visually see where they're moving around. Next up, we get to the portrait size Dungeon Master screen, or Games Master screen, and it is 3 panels. And I think you'll agree the outside is pretty cool, but the inside is actually full, finally, of really useful tables. And I have been informed by people on my Discord that this is not available elsewhere. So unfortunately, you can only pick up the Games Master screen if you get the deluxe box set. Which I kind of think, you know, sad because I love Games Master screens. Not necessarily for hiding dice because I roll all my dice, but useful tables as a dyslexic, and you know, I want to be able to hide some maps, and also, you know, just have access to those tables instantly. We've got then 8 booklets in here, but we've also got, I wasn't sure what all there's going to be in here, but we've got a load of tokens and sort of A and B tokens in here as well. Then a empty box. I don't know what the empty box is for. I genuinely don't know what goes in there. It's magnet sealed as well, which is really impressive. And this side, we've got all the standees, as you'd imagine, and more dice, because we always need more dice. This is a D100 system, roll under, so hence the reason we've got 2 lots of D100 sets. So that's all magnetized. Well, it would be if I put the standees down. Okay, so let's have a look at what's included in these books. I say I'll go through them properly as a PDF. But first of all, we've got the player's survival guide here, which is really handy actually, because I do like when games separate out books that you can just give to the players. So you can give this to the players, and this is going to be all your equipment, classes, things like that for the players just to go through. It comes in just over 40 pages, so it's nice and handy. We have then got the Warden's Operation Manual, which is absolutely brilliant reading through this, because it's got all the tools and things that you'd want from a games master, but more importantly, there's lots of ideas and stuff that you can use in here that I think you could input into most of the games. So yeah, really surprised. The next one we get is the Ship's Breakers toolkit, and as you can see by the back, it basically details all of these ships in here. Gives an idea of size and scale, and then we've also got a load of upgrades, how to repair the ships, ship-to-ship combat, and things like that. So all that is built in there, and there's a little bit also on crew, so if you want some crew members. We then get Unconfirmed Contact Report, which is, I say, it's a monster manual, but I was really surprised that it was colour, because the first 3 zines are black and white, and then we've got all this beautiful colour and artwork in here. Then get your 4 adventures. I say we've got another bug hunt, which is, I'm not going to open these, I'll open them a little bit on the PDFs when we go to look at it, but this is players land on a planet. Stop me when this sounds familiar. A base is, there's been no contact from the base, so they send in people, not necessarily Marines as well, because when I ran this, not everyone wanted to be a Marine, which helped, but also made little things a little bit harder. Dead Planet. This is a really interesting one. Well, actually, they're all interesting, because this is a planet that's going to summon the players. They sort of pulls them out of hyperspace, and even when they try to leave, they can be trapped there. So they've got a variety of options on how they try to get out or escape or deal with it. Then get a Pound of Flesh, which is actually, it's more of a campaign setting than an adventure. You can do it as a one-shot. There's a little bit right at the start saying, you know, if you want to run it as a one-shot. But this ties into the big spaceship map. And then the one that interests me the most, because I'm not sure exactly how this will work, this feels like a mega dungeon. Because, well, I'll show you a little bit when, here we go. You can see here. So this is all the rooms and stuff, which from the couple of times I've played Mothership, I found that I don't know whether players are going to last long enough. So whether you reduce down the difficulty or the make it a little bit easier for players to survive, I generally don't know. It's going to be quite interesting to read that one through. So let's then have a look at the PDFs, and I can show you spoiler-free what's included. So first up, we have the player survival guide. So this comes in at 44 pages, which, as it sounds, it's a player's guide. You know, this is going to give some random tables in here, but more importantly, it's going to give the players the character sheet, the basic rules. So this will cover what you need to play the game. And you can actually pretty much just run the game without reading the Warden's Operation Manual. I wouldn't, but you can do, if that makes sense. So you've got 4 different types of characters. You've got Marine, Android, Scientist, and then the Teamster. We've got a variety of trinkets and things. They're going to have some equipment. I love artwork in sort of firearm sections, because especially in a sci-fi setting, because my imagination isn't that brilliant for exactly what a weapon looks like, and I like to see things. And we've got sort of armor in here. You know, it talks about how to be a player, doing all your checks. I say in essence, it's a D100 roll under. So if you play things like Warhammer Fantasy Role Playing, Call of Cthulhu, 7, well, and most of the the editions like the Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu game, it should be very familiar. But the game, in essence, is going to rely on panic rolls, and players are going to sort of build up stress as time goes on. And the one thing I did find weird is there's no real sort of experience in the game. So, which is what I kind of feel, you know, how that mega dungeon's going to work, because players do get better at, but it's over a long period of time, and it's more training skills. You have your 4 attributes, so speed, strength, intelligence, and combat, and players are looking to roll under those. And then you've got things like sanity, fear, and body checks. Sanity and fear are going to build up as the game goes on, and when you have to sort of check for that, that's when you're going to use your d20. So you're going to roll a d20 and look to roll under, so you're not, don't sort of start losing your mind or become scared and run away. Players will also be trained or expert or master in some skills, and as they do, you'll get +10, +15, or +20 to the relevant attribute there. But that's the game in essence. To say the Marine, Android, Scientist, Teamster will have slightly different things. I say I'll come back and do a full review on these 4 core rule books. Warden's Operation Manual. I say you don't necessarily need to read this to run. There's a few things in here that you will need, but this will teach you how to play a horror game, because horror works very differently, and the stress mechanic and fear mechanics work very differently to most games. And if you kind of get it wrong from a game, it's not massive if you get it wrong, but you might not get, the players might not get the full feel out of this. But this will teach you as well how to sort of set up the scenarios, the missions, and also, more importantly, how to create your own. Because you know, and a lot of stuff in this, we say you've got 4 adventures in here, but you're going to want to make your own at some stage. And I would encourage you to, you know, how to make maps and things like that. It's really, say, the tools in here, I was surprised, because a lot of the Games Master sections, I've been doing this hobby for 35 maybe plus years, somewhere around that, and sometimes you sort of go, it feels a little bit patronizing or too generic. But this, even though it's based on fear and things like that, it really does teach you how to sort of set up as a games master. You know, set up your stall, talk to the players. It's wonderful. I deeply recommend, even if you're just going to go and pick this up and you want to be a games master, go and pick this up and have a look through. So I'll do a full review of this. The Shipbreakers Toolkit, wonderful. And because, well, this is the one thing you're going to need, is this deck icon plan here. Because once we get into things like another bug hunt, there are maps and diagrams in here, and you don't know what they're related to or what they mean. And they are in the very first page, inside cover here, of the ship, the ship deck icons. But this is going to give the players a ship character sheet, and it's going to teach them how to do repairs, upgrades, ship combat, things like that. And then we've just got, say, a plethora of different ships, maps, idea of what's going on, statistics for the ships, where the airlocks is, stuff like that. Really, really handy little book. And this comes in at 44 pages. I probably should have said the operations warden manual comes in at 60, so that is the largest. And then the final one we're going to get is the unconfirmed contact report, which is your monster manual, which will, it basically will show you the breakdown of the stat blocks and how they work, and what the player's going to need to do, and how the attacks work, and their armor points, maximum wounds, things. And then we're going to get into, not going to show too much because of spoilers, but all the creatures going to have here a basic description. They've all got drawings and artwork related to it. Some of it is incredibly weird, but it just gives you an idea of what is going on. And then he's got, say, stat blocks are here. They're just thrown in at the top. I say thrown in the nicest of ways, but if you, I think we're used to looking down in the body of the text for the stat block, or it should be the top. But yeah, there's not a lot to any of these creatures. What you're looking at as the games master is the details in here of what's going on. And that comes in at 56 pages. There's a lot of creatures and a lot of monsters to get going. Now, the good news is, with the 4 adventures, you don't overly need, from the ones I've read and played, everything's contained within the module. I can't remember a time when I needed to go back to the monster manual in here. But I don't really want to show much on these, because I would say I want it to be spoiler-free as possible. But each of them have got their own colour and style, and they do sort of, you know, it's just going to drop you straight in here as the games master of what's going on, and details of the map and the landing zone and stuff. And so we've got the pound of flesh, which is going to work exactly the same way. Here we've got that space station. You've got the big map that you can put out on the table and play with the players. You know, we've got the little tokens so they can sort of move around, showing where they are when things start to go wrong. Dead Planet, this is a nasty little one. So they are just 48 pages of being stuck on a planet that they're going to try and get away from, and it's just not, the planet's just not going to allow them to get there. But you're going to put this in mid-adventure, mid-campaign. They're going to be going somewhere else, and then they're just going to drop out of hyperspace and be stuck here. And then finally, I say this gradient descent, which is huge. I genuinely don't know how this was going to work, which is exactly what I said, because it's quite a brutal game. I haven't played a game of Mothership where everyone is still there at the end of a session. So I do wonder exactly how this is going to work. But I love mega dungeons. So we've got, you know, that's basically everything that's included. It's amazing. It's such a huge amount of value for money that's in here. You know, say those 4 adventures. So another bug hunt. So it came in 44 pages. That took me, I think it was 2.5 sessions. Our normal Sunday sessions are anywhere from sort of 2 to 3 hours, depending on. We try always find a place to stop, and it definitely went into a 3rd session. So you're probably looking 7 to 10 hours. I'd imagine that Megan Dungeon's going to take a lot longer. The Planet one, again, depending on how the players are at, but they're all sort of 40-45 pages long, so you've got a lot of play in here. All the standees that you got as well, maps, the Games Master screen, which from what people are telling me, say I don't know this for sure, but from what players are telling me in my Discord, that it is not available elsewhere, so you can only pick it up in the deluxe edition. So I'm going to leave it there. I'll come back and I'll do a proper review of Mothership at some stage. And then I've also been asked on my Discord, because Alien, Mothership, 2 games I both love. What's the difference? Obviously, there are some obvious differences, but advantages and disadvantages of each. I'm going to sort of do a full breakdown. And am I going to just tell you which one to buy? I don't know, because it swings depending on what I want to be doing on there. But so yeah, I'm going to carry on with these. So next few Saturdays, well, I think I've got I've got 13 start sets, so it's quite a lot of Saturdays. So if you want to see more of these, just let me know. But I like the setup. I think the format of this works well, being able to sort of show what's in the box and then sort of go through the PDFs without spoiling. But yeah, just let me know down in the comments below if you want to see more stuff like this. And if you've enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.